Hey YouTubers, Brady here. Today we are going to talk about this exciting and I will make the case extremely important matchup coming up Sunday not night, I almost said Sunday night because every game has been a weird time, but coming up Sunday against the Cowboys. We're going to talk about some stats. We're going to go over the injury report just really quick because of course we know there are questions about who's going to be available for the Green Bay Packers in this game, who's going to be available for the Cowboys as well, and then I'm going to do my kind of scouting report. In the meantime, and as we go, I'm going to field a bunch of questions. We're going to talk about all the comments that come across the screen. A really fun show, and I think a lot of you guys will correspond with a lot of what we're talking about today. So enjoy it. Good Packer Nation morning. Good Packer Nation morning, everybody. Thursday morning. Football is back tonight. And the Packers will be back on Sunday. So, yeah, jump on. Let me know who you are and where you're coming at me from. And we'll do some Packer Nation roll call. At first things first, I apologize. Yesterday, I could not get on my my Wi-Fi was being wonky. I just couldn't do it. I actually was testing the speed, and I had a faster upload speed than download speed at one point yesterday morning, and that will not work at all. It was unbelievable. All right, Terry is here. All right, Tom, good to see you. I hope you're having a good Thursday morning. The weekend is right around the corner. Alex, Sean, Jared, good to see you, and G'day. You're probably getting ready for bed, I suppose, right now. You're always ahead of us. Trent is on. Good to see you, buddy. Hector, again, good morning there. Michael, Candy, all right. It's good to see everybody. Rick is here as well. Good morning to you, Rick. Who's going to be our running back? Well, we're going to talk about the injury report. I think Eddie Lacy will be in there. Javon, I hope so at any rate, because we're talking about scouting report and who would be more important than Eddie Lacy right now. Tim is here. Brown is here. Trevor is here. Tim Welch as well. Good morning. Sal is here. And Jacob, good to see all you guys. Yeah, so the injury report came out, and, I think the Packers have a few, obviously we know who our major players that we're wondering about are. Of course, Eddie Lacy is top of the list because we think he might play, but let's go over it here. The two that we're still concerned about and we know aren't going to be here, obviously, Sam Shields did not participate, if I'm remembering right here. Jared Cook, and Sam Shields with a concussion protocol. It's just one of those things. We just have to be patient. We have no choice in that regard. And Jared Cook, we've got to get him healthy before he can get back, which is, again, if I was looking at this game, one of the people that I would really, really love to have right now is Jared Cook on this team being able to play on Sunday. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Also add to that, Chris Banjo did not participate with his hammy again, and James Starks with his knee did not participate. So that said, limited. Eddie Lacy was limited. He has talked like he was going to be fine. I think they'll end up probably taping him up. But what an awful game to not be healthy in the running back department right now. Demarius Randall was limited with his groin injury again, and Randall Cobb with the neck as well. And I'm hoping that they're just being safe with those guys out there. Full participants, TJ Lang, of course, with the little hip thing, but he's a full participant. We'll expect him to play as well. Do you think Odell's touchdown was good or not? I might get into that tomorrow. But I got a lot on the plate today. I know there have been those. I think, well, if you want the short answer, Odell Beckham's touchdown would be good or not based on what the original call was by the rules. I think if they had called it out in the beginning, it would have stood. I think because they called it in, it stood. That's the short answer to that. And it's kind of unfortunate in situations, but I know a lot of people analyze that play a lot. Frankly, I did not. I thought our defense, we maybe let that one through, and had we been able to keep those points off the board, it would have really showed something about our defense too. So I can see people being very interested in that if it wasn't the correct call, but honestly, I have not looked back at it really close. I didn't slow-mo it. I didn't zoom in. But I do know, I am pretty convinced that it's the original call that either way that would have held in that situation, just by the way the rules work. There has to be conclusive visual evidence, so they couldn't overturn it in this regard. Had they called it the other way, they probably wouldn't have been able to overturn that either. So, all right, well, now here's the thing, though. The Cowboys have some injuries here, too. They got a longer list than we do. Of course, starts with Tony Romo, but also did not participate. Lance Dunbar, David Irving, Andrew Gakkar. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. That's pretty sad, actually. I haven't seen him before. Chaz Green, Orlando Scandrick is a big one in their defensive backfield, and Kyle Wilber again did not participate and was not available for the Cincinnati game either. Full participants: Tyrone Smith, Dan Bailey, and Terrence Williams was a full participant as well, which is pretty important. Jason Witten was a full participant, but has had some kind of a chest injury. And of course, we're waiting on Des Bryant and whether he's going to be able to play or not. They've got him listed with a knee, some kind of a microfracture or something. Of course, if he plays, that's a big, big difference. Tom says, Tony who? And that is true because obviously the big storyline for the Cowboys has been these two rookies who have really been getting the job done. Dak Prescott and of course Ezekiel Elliott coming in at the running back position. And guys, this is going to be one heck of a game, folks. Friday, I don't know what that comment was. Friday, we will be doing predictions, so get your predictions ready. You got to think about these really, really carefully right now. I am a bit torn at this point. Packers get to play at home. Dallas did a good job against Cincinnati, however, this past week. Do I think Cobb will play? Yeah, I think Cobb will play. Sean says, go Pack, go. Your impression on Dak Prescott. The kids... He's not just handing the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott. He is athletic. He scored a touchdown on the ground against Cincinnati. He's accurate. He's out there. He's on the same page with Jason Witten right now. So to answer your question, I got to give this kid mad props right now. Come into the league as a rookie and there's always, we saw how this unfolded, right? He played really well in the preseason, okay? But what's always the statement then? It's like, man, it's preseason. Well, he has done nothing but carry out the same good play into the season. Now, that said, I've said from the beginning, a lot of Dak Prescott's success, a lot of, Ezekiel Elliott's success has to do with their offensive line. You watch him back there. You guys probably can picture this. You know how Tom Brady, every time he kicks back in the pocket, when he sets, he just stands upright. He doesn't dance. He doesn't have happy feet. He just stands. He just stands and then delivers. Dak Prescott is able to do the same thing right now. I saw him on a rollout and just stop on a rollout. And he just stopped and stood there and delivered the ball to Jason Witten, I think, for 8 or 10 yards. Something's caught in my throat today. I apologize for that. But the fact of the matter, he's playing well, but his offensive line is playing lights out. This is one of the great parts of this matchup right now. Again, we went through the injury report. Some of these are significant. The Cowboys' defensive backfield being banged up a little bit might be an opportunity, obviously, for the Green Bay Packers. But here's, the big thing on the injury report for me, because we know who's not going to be available. We know we're not going to see Jared Cook. It's unfortunate, but we know we're not going to see him. I don't think we're going to see Sam Shields. I don't have any, grand delusions of seeing Sam Shields on the field. But the big question marks are these couple of running backs. Frankly, we need at least one of them to be ready to play. And I think Eddie Lacy is going to be able to play. Obviously, he's going to pull for that. Alan is asking about that. Thoughts on the plan for the running back with Lacy and Starks both injured. Frankly, if both of these guys have to be ready to play. Unless the medical staff withholds them from play, we have to have both of these guys suited up and active for this game. We need them both if we want to win this game. We need Eddie Lacy to win this game. We cannot go out with our offensive line has been playing well. But if I'm gonna try to match up against the Cowboys right now, I have a very specific way that I would probably want to do it, or at least want to start right now. That's what I'm going to talk about. We're going to do kind of an early scouting report. But for crying out loud, if we can't get I mean, we couldn't get anything going with Starks anyway when he was healthy. We're certainly not going to get anything going if he's dinged up. And that's one of the worst things about this injury to Eddie Lacy in particular is, yeah, maybe they can suit him up. Maybe he can play. But when if you've played running back, I've played running back. If you have an ankle injury as a running back, it doesn't have to be a very devastating injury. If you can get on the field, that's fine. But your ankles are swiveling constantly when you're a running back. So we'll talk about that a little bit in the future here and when we talk about the scouting report a little bit. But I wanted to go through some stats because one of the things I did this morning, is I like to look for some kind of a corresponding matchup with the team that we're going to play this week, the Cowboys, obviously. So I went ahead and I grabbed the box score on the Cowboys versus Cincinnati because I thought, this is last week's game for them, so it's very recent. It shows how they're playing recently. It also is, the Cincinnati team. Andy Dalton and Aaron Rodgers could be a fair comparison right now. If you look at their numbers, they're fairly similar. The only difference is Andy Dalton didn't throw 2 interceptions in the loss to the Cowboys last week. But somewhat similar offenses, and so I just wanted to see some of the stuff that jumped out at me, and it was kind of interesting. Andy Dalton, here's one of the things that jumped out at me. You can look at his stat line, right? 29 of 41 for 269 yards. That sounds similar to what Aaron Rodgers did last week, but Andy had the 2 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. Obviously, we know one of the key ingredients to beating the Cowboys right now is we cannot afford to turn the ball over the way we did in the Giants game. They're gonna rip us a new one because not only are we giving away possession, but we are giving away time of possession with that. We cannot afford to give any possessions away to the Cowboys. But here's the interesting thing about that, in terms of Andrew Dalton. Giovanni Bernard had 9 rushes for 50 yards in this game. That was the total. So that's not a lot. But second leading rusher on the team was none other than Andy Dalton with 6 rushes for 34 yards. And one thing that tells me, and if you go back and watch the game, you'll see this, the Cowboys were able to keep Andy Dalton under pressure all game long. He was constantly hurried up. He was constantly having to scramble, and most of these yards that he got did not even add up to first downs. So the Cowboys are able, with their pressure packages, and they're not always bringing that many. They were back there with 3 deep safeties early on in this game. It was very interesting. And, hey, I see Jason Alexander says LaCroix. Are you the Jason Alexander from Seinfeld? I want to meet you then, because I think you're really cool. No, I think you're really cool anyway. But La Crosse, my mom's hometown, so I want to give a shout out to Jason right now, just really quick. Kyle is flying to Green Bay. Oh, yeah, buddy. I tell you guys, you got to stop by and pick me up. But yeah, the Cowboys were able to get a lot of pressure, and if I'm reading it, well, let's go through that while we're at it. Check this out. The Cincinnati defense was able to get 1 sack in that game, and look at this. We've got 1.5 by McLean, another half, that's 2, 3, 4 sacks that the Cowboys were able to get in this game. We know that we have been protecting Aaron Rodgers well. That is going to be, again, critical in this game, and we're going to have to make these catches. Jordy Nelson is going to have to catch the ball. We're not going to be able to tip the ball up. We're not going to be able to drop these passes that we have to catch. We've grown to expect that from Jordy Nelson, and we have to have it in this game. So a couple of things that I just going through and looking at this Bengals game, and the more I watched it, I did think it was actually a fairly fair comparison to where the Packers are at offensively, because the Bengals did have some success on the ground. They were able to, with Giovanni Bernard, they were able to pound the ball from time to time off the guard through the A-gaps, and that to me is going to be one of the keys to this game. Number one, we've got to be able to get Eddie Lacy on the field. If we can't get Eddie Lacy on the field in this game, we will not win it, is basically what I'm thinking right now. And, obviously I still want us to, but if we can't suit Eddie Lacy up in this game, our chances go way downhill. And that's just one of those things. There's nothing we can do about the injuries. There's nothing he can do about the injuries. But I'm assuming they're going to tape that sucker up and he's going to get in and play. And then after that, you have all kinds of questions, because when you have a running back with an ankle injury, it can have an effect on the way he plays the game. I think for several reasons, we need to push the issue through the middle because, the several reasons being, the Cowboys inside linebackers they were playing on their heels against Bengals. When the Bengals forced the issue, they were maintaining gap soundness, but they were not really aggressive, and they were not pushing the pile, and they were not moving forward. We have the opportunity, and this was against Cincinnati. If we can get Eddie Lacy in and we can run off that A gap, number one, he's not having to make as many cuts right off the bat. We're not running him east to west and making him plant as much. This is a left foot injury. So again, if we can run him up the middle, he's not going to have to, if we can play north to south football, we can protect that ankle to some extent. But at the same time, what we're doing is playing to the strength of our offensive line. J.C. Treader, Lane Taylor, well, yeah, maybe Bakhtiari from time to time. He's going to have to bounce some things out. But we are going to need to force the issue up front and inside with Eddie Lacy. We've got to be able to suit him up, number one. That's the big question. But we've got to force the issue inside. Those inside linebackers are weak. They're a little bit soft, and we can take advantage of that right now. We've got J.C. Treader. We've got T.J. Lang. We've got Lane Taylor. These are guys that can get the job done. And if we can pick up that 3 and 4 yards, the Cincinnati Bengals were able to do it with Giovanni Bernard, and I think the Packers can do it with Eddie Lacy again if we can get him healthy. Now, what that then adds to, of course, is we can control time of possession. If we cannot control time of possession in this game, we are going down. I'll tell you that right now. This Cowboys offense moves the ball in multiple ways. They are extremely effective. They are well coached. They don't make critical penalties the way our offense frankly does. They don't stall out. They are built for the long haul with Ezekiel Elliott. They can hold on to the ball. They can run it down your throat. They've got Jason Witten. We don't know if Dez is going to play or not, but they've got plenty of wide receiver options and Jason Witten out there. They are a very multiple offense, and they're playing at a very high level right now. They're playing at a higher level than the Green Bay Packers offense right now with a rookie quarterback. That should be a challenge to the Green Bay Packers offense right now. It's a matter of pride. We are playing at Lambeau. We need to force the issue, especially if they go 3 deep safeties. If they're not respecting the box and not respecting Eddie Lacy, we need to make them pay for that decision. Now, we know that this Packers offense, there's 2 general philosophies. If I was going to try to break it down, to me there are a couple of general philosophies out there for the offense, and we know if I were going to name them both, one would be, listen, we have decided what our strengths are. We are going to force the issue. We are going to be a dictating offense. And the other side is we are going to be a read and react type of an offense. We know that Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers are more of this read and react type of an offense. What they do is they try to get the opposing defense to show their hand. Once they show their hand, you try to get into a play. You get a play on that leverages the advantage that the defense is showing you. Philosophically speaking, I can understand that. And, but sometimes, at one day, I would just love for the Packers to say, listen, we are going to run Eddie Lacy down somebody's throat until you stack the box and stop it. We are going to push the envelope up front and inside, and until you stop it, we are going to do it and do it and do it again. And until you make the proper adjustments, you will have no chance to stop us. This is the game I want to see that happen in. And unfortunately, this is a game where Eddie Lacy may not be 100%. Now, Jeff Hayes got on and made the comment, Lacy's had an ankle injury every year. And Eddie Lacy is well equipped to play injured. However, what I'd like to see is us push the issue inside and up front early, because we can then maybe protect that ankle a little bit. And the other thing I would like to see, if Eddie Lacy is healthy, because now we know Starks isn't healthy either, I would like to see us not pull Eddie Lacy out for 8 minutes at a time for no reason whatsoever, which is what we did last week. And I watched, I've got a guy I subscribe to YouTube, if it's called Packer Chat. I want to connect with this guy because he and I were pissing and moaning about the same thing. We know Eddie Lacy got injured in the second series of the second half, whatever it was. But we pulled him for 8 minutes while he was healthy. For crying out loud. And Pucky, I have a comment for you in just a minute. You made a great comment. You can look at that and see it in the stream. But, we're going to need to ride this Eddie Lacy horse at some point. Yes, we need to kind of manage his body. We need to make sure he's healthy in December in Lambeau and, of course, hopefully into a playoff run. But this is the game. This is the game. If we don't put our best players on the field in this game, we don't put the right players on the field, we will lose this game. You mark my words right now. This is not a Cowboys team to be trifled with. It's not one to play a managing overall outlook type of approach. We need to play to win this game. We cannot go out there and play not to lose. That's another comment that Packer Chat made the other day. The guy was like, listen, this team is playing to not lose. We need to play to win, and I completely agree with that. Especially in this game. There are times when I have seen, the games that I felt like we could manage and sort of, hold some players back a little bit with the idea that we're going to need them down the road. I understand that that's what head coaches have to do. Managing these players' bodies is a huge part of their job right now, but this is not the game to manage. We are going to need some people in, and we're going to need them to step up. So Kyle is saying we need to let up in the second half. We had the comment made about Aaron Ripkowski being the answer in this game. And I think to some extent that is true. You look at what this team could do. We've got an Eddie Lacy that hopefully he can play, but we know he's going to be a little bit dinged up. What about going on there? You got your 22 personnel grouping. You've got your two backs, two tight ends. It's a very symmetrical grouping. You got Ripkowski on one side and basically an inverted bone. You got Eddie Lacy on the other. This is going to spread the defenses out because they have to maintain that symmetry across their defensive front or risk giving up the big play. This then also gives, this is not a lead blocking situation unless you can bring Ripkowski across in front and get a kick out block that way. That's a possibility. But to some extent, that again lends itself to north and south running. And if we can rush the ball successfully, this is one of those games, folks. This is the one thing I will say about this is one of those games where the running game will make or break us in this game. I really, truly feel that. If we can run the ball, yes, we'll have plenty of opportunities because I think the Cowboys' defensive backfield gives Aaron Rodgers opportunities in our wide receiver core. But if we can't run the ball in this game, whether it's because of the injuries, whether it's because we don't have players available, et cetera, if we can't run the ball in this game, we are going to struggle mightily in this game. So, I would love to see us be able to pound the ball and then throw. This is one of those games I would love to see us throw out of the rushing attack. That's not our MO, generally speaking, because the strength of our team has often been, the way Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, when they're on the same page, the back shoulder pass, and lately we've seen how devastating we can be with Randall Cobb. Look at the game he had, over 100 yards, and should have had a touchdown in the game against the Giants. So we'll see how this goes, but this is one of those games I think the rushing game is going to be extremely important. One of the main reasons, right, is tick-tock. I don't want to see the hurry-up offense. We saw against the Giants, we had less of the hurry-up offense. We tried to maintain that time of possession by the way that we played that game offensively. I think we are going to need to do that again against the Cowboys, or we're going to have some problems. Let's see. All right, let's see what we've got. Let's see. Interesting. The Bengals had not allowed a rushing TD through all first 4 games. Guess how many the Cowboys had on the ground in this game? 2 rushing touchdowns against a team that had not had 1. This is a big signal that this is going to be the marquee game for our defense right now. We have not faced, this is a very high-powered offense right now. They're generally able to maintain the clock and the time of possession, but at the same time, when they need to score quickly, they are able to do it. They're well equipped to do it. What they did against Cincinnati is spread them out with Ezekiel Elliott running to the edges because he can do it all, guys. You watch. He's a big guy. He can lower the hammer when to do that, but he also can beat people to the edges. This is going to be an extremely important game and a marquee game for our defense that, as we've seen, if you looked at the schedule, you would have said, Adrian Peterson and the Vikings, that's the marquee game. That did not become the case for two reasons. Obviously, Adrian Peterson did not seem to be the same, and he also got injured in that game. But also the Vikings offensive line that they spent all that money on has turned out to be quite a dud, to be quite honest, out there. That is not the case with the Dallas Cowboys right now. This is going to be the best offensive front we have seen, and it's going to be all we can do to handle it. I want to see in this game, I would like to see more Julius Peppers in this game. We are going to need his length. I also want to see a lot of Nick Perry and Dayton Jones. We're going to need some size up front. We're going to need those hybrid elephant linebackers. We are going to need those guys because Jake Ryan, Thomas, our inside linebackers, Martinez, it is going to be a struggle for them in this game. That is another key to the game, is whether our inside linebackers are not going to be able to maintain their play and have success against the Cowboys. I'll tell you that right now. You watch that second level of our defense, and Blake Martinez, Thomas, when he's in, Joe Thomas and Jake Ryan, they are going to have to elevate their game or they are going to get abused right now. I'll tell you that right now. You watch that. And this is the game for them to prove it. And I can't wait for these young guys, Ryan especially and Blake Martinez, to prove it, to get out there and be aggressive. You're going to have to stay absolutely gap sound against the Cowboys offensive line. If you give up any leverage whatsoever to this Cowboys offensive line, you are going to swing the door wide open for Ezekiel Elliott, who does not need. Ezekiel Elliott he can get skinny, he can lower the hammer, he can beat you to the edges, he can do it all. The only thing I haven't seen a lot out of him yet is catching the ball out of the backfield, but the fact of the matter is they're not going to necessarily need him to do a lot of that. That becomes another tool in their box that we have to concern ourselves with. So I'm interested in watching the second level of our defense, our inside linebackers. These are young guys that they've been through the fire to some extent in these first 4 games, but they have not met an offense like they're going to meet in the Dallas Cowboys. Good thing, one of the keys to the game, of course, being we are at Lambeau Field, so this is going to be one of those games. It's one of those that we need badly. We know, Josh was saying, we will be ready. Tim says the defense almost at full strength. He's excited about that. I am too. I'm a little concerned to some extent if there's a team. I actually, having watched this Cowboys team, I think they may be, because they're so balanced, they may be more dangerous than the Atlanta Falcons right now. I know that there are some that, the high-powered offense of the Falcons right now would scare them a little bit more, especially since our defensive backfield has had some trouble. But I am saying right now, this Cowboys offense is going to add as good of an offense as we have seen to date. If they get Dez Bryant in this game, it will be very interesting. Yeah, this is going to be a big challenge, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait for Sunday. Why don't you put a heart up or give me a thumbs up if you can't wait for Sunday? I mean, it's Thursday, so it's getting closer. It's not bad. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll do predictions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Terry Haney is making a good comment here, and he's got this in all caps. Rodgers needs a big night, and this is a good point. I think, now here's the thing. This is the game. And I hate to say this because we haven't had to say this in the past. Yeah, a lot of people excited for Sunday. I cannot wait for this game, but this is going to be a big one, folks. This could be a very hard-fought game. Okay, let me say this. This is my statement. This is the mic drop statement of today's episode, guys. One way or the other, okay, this is our marquee game. This is what I would say. One way or the other. If the Packers are going to show themselves to be the kind of team that can beat anybody out there, AFC, NFC, I don't care who you are, if they win this game and if they do it in a certain way, especially with Eddie Lacy, being dinged up right now, they will show that they can run with the big dogs right now. On the other hand, all of us out there have a little bit of a hesitation, especially about this Packers offense right now. If this Packers offense, once again, if we go on another 2-quarter dry spell where we're barely able to kick field goals, number one, we lose this game. And number two, we show ourselves to be a second-tier team right now. This is my conviction about this game. Jason says he's pumped up for Sunday. Go Pack, go. Samantha says good morning to everybody. But yeah, this is going to be the marquee game of the season so far. It is at Lambeau, so no excuses. Last year we faltered at Lambeau. We cannot afford that this year with the way the season lays out. We will either show ourselves to be the kind of team that can run with anybody in the league right now, or we show ourselves to be basically a team that, yes, we have the potential, yes, we have the personnel, but no, we are not there yet. And I want us to be the kind of team that can beat anyone in the league without question. And somebody wrote the comment, nobody comes into this house, not here, not ever. Golf club through the window. It's golf club through the window time, guys. I don't care. We will treat them like a fly in the punch bowl. And it's time to put our foot on the gas offensively, to not only maintain what we've been doing defensively, but to take a step up. We've got to call on Aaron Rodgers to take a step up. We have to call on Jordy Nelson to take a step up. We need Julius Peppers to take a step up in this game. We need Kenny Clark to take a step up in this game. We don't know if is Pennell going to get on the field. We need him to take a step up. LaTroy Guion, the big guys up front. Mike Daniels going to take a step up. It's time to bring the fight to them on defense, and it's time to pound the rock on offense, because if we pound the rock on offense, we are going to take this Cowboys team down, and that will be no small feat. It will be a marquee game. It will be a statement game for the Green Bay Packers that we are no one to be trifled with around this league, that we are turning it on, we are coming on strong, and you better watch out, because Aaron Rodgers, when he comes to your town, he is going to bring the house. And our defense, when we come to your town, and all of November will be traveling to other people's houses, and we are going to bring it every single week. Brian is asking, he just said the punter, and that's pretty much all you need to say to get me going, Brian. This is one of the keys to the game. This is the one I am probably concerned about the most. We have to control time of possession. We have to at least have an even time of possession in this game to have a chance of winning in this game. Thank you, Chris. You're awesome, man. And the other thing, of course, we've talked about this all year. Field position has been a problem. Our coverage units were terrible against the Giants. We have to be better. Look at Lucky Whitehead is going to be running down our throats. He hits the hole fast. He is aggressive. But you asked, Jared is saying the punter. Trent is making a good comment. No punts by Green Bay. I think we should just let Mason Crosby kick a 73-yard field goal out there rather than punt the ball and give it to them. We'd end up in the same place. We'd end up with the same field position if we let Crosby kick a 73-yarder and he missed it by a half a yard than if we punted the ball, because number one, they're going to get it 15 yards deep, and number two, our coverage units have struggled. So there's a special teams. We got to make the call to you guys too. So let's follow it up, Packer Nation, with the call to step up. Now is the time. We've had Zook get up here and make every freaking excuse for Jacob Shum that there is to be made. It's time for the excuses to end. It's time to play football, kick the ball. I could go out to a high school here down in Greenville and find a punter that can punt the ball better than Jacob Shum right now. That is not accessible, or that is not acceptable. It's not accessible. That is not accessible. No, that is not acceptable. We cannot handle that. We have to win field position, and we have to do it by hook or by crook. And Trent makes a good point. Let's do it by not punting. If you have a field goal kicker that's struggling, a lot of times you can help them out. You can help your entire team out by scoring touchdowns instead of field goals. Now, we don't have that problem, but we do have the problem. Our third down efficiency needs to be better than 47%. Last week, 47%. We were okay. It was enough to win, right? But we kicked too many field goals. If we trade off field goals as many times against the Cowboys as we did against the Giants, we are going to struggle in this game. Brian is saying, and I'm assuming you're referring to Shum, that he's going to cost us a game. And I fear you are right, my friend. I hate to say I told you so, but I got on the day after we made this announcement and I berated. And I try not to berate. I'll say my opinion and I'll say it strongly, but I try not to berate things. But I think I called it a bonehead move, and I think I've called it a bonehead move since. One of the things we haven't seen yet, this is one of the good things now that he's had a little time, is we could very easily see him struggle holding the ball and lose a game because Mason Crosby misses. And Mason Crosby, the hammer will drop on Mason Crosby. But for crying out loud, we'll keep Jacob Schum somehow, for some reason, some unknown reason. But this is the thing that bugs me is, hindsight is supposed to be 20/20, and we've played this game before. We've tried this experiment before, and it worked just about as well as it did last time. And this one's working about as well as it did last time. And we had to get a new punter in the middle of the freaking season because we sucked so bad. Why do we get out there and we've got Mastay, who has every punting record in the Green Bay Packer books. And we bring in some nice competition because we saw him falter in the playoffs. We got a hometown kid. And then we get this great idea to try to prove that we're smarter than everybody else by bringing in Jacob Schum. Okay? Not a good situation because, again, field position battle in this game is going to be a heated one, and it's going to be an extremely important one. All right, let me see if I've got anything else. I think that, I talked a little bit about, the defense. We need to be aggressive and gap sound. We can't back off our aggression, but we cannot overplay in this game or we will get hurt on the cutbacks in this game. You mark my word. That's another thing Elliott can do well is the cutbacks. We're not sure how much, is Pennell going to play? How much is he going to play? We called on Mike Daniels. We're going to need the big guy to just bring it, to just be an animal and just be mad in this game. It's going to be important. Okay. Here's another thing. Dak Prescott is hitting 80% on play action. He is completing 80% of his passes on play action. This, again, calls out. What that tells you is, your Jake Ryans, these guys that are having to read and react to play action are going to have to play very sound football and be able to close on him because, keep in mind, he can run the ball too. He's also athletic. He's a very dangerous offensive player, is Dak Prescott right now. Part of the reason is he's standing up straight back there. He's got an offensive line that is as good as it gets in the league. And we've seen it all year long. So again, this is the marquee matchup, folks. It's coming this Sunday. Coming to your town, Green Bay. The marquee matchup. This is the game that all the eyeballs in the league should be watching this week, right here, right now. Because you watch a team like the Atlanta Falcons play a team like the Cowboys. Wow, they are going to struggle because the Cowboys can handle time of possession, which means your high-flying offense is standing on the sidelines watching the game. This is the same thing that the Cowboys are going to try to do against us. Again, it plays to our strength because we are so stout against the run. So we will have to continue that and take a step up. All right. Here's the other one, of course. I think the comment was made about the defensive backfield being a bit of a sieve so far. We're getting a little more healthy. How is the defensive backfield going to handle Witten, Terrence Williams, Des Bryant, and Lucky Whitehead? Lucky Whitehead even getting some reps and did some good things. This is the question. It's not how they're going to play. It's how are they going to play if we have to stack the box. If Ezekiel Elliott gets going against us, you're going to have to drop a safety in and commit to that. Now what happens to our nickel? What happens to our dime packages? These are the ones that the Packers defense and that Cowboys defense are somewhat similar in this regard. We like to put safeties. We like to get guys back there, keep things in front of us, and make sure that we don't give up the big play. We haven't done as well about that this year with giving up as many big plays as we did. But if we have to drop a safety into the box, we have to commit extra people to the box. Now look what happens. Now you've got singled up on the outside with perhaps, depending on how healthy he is, Des Bryant, Terrence Williams, these guys. It becomes very difficult. This is the kind of pressure that Dom Capers is running into that the Cowboys can put on your defense. And this will be his best game. I thought he called a fantastic game against the Giants. This will be his marquee matchup as well. So mic drop. The call out goes out to you, Dom Capers, to have your best scheme in place and let those players go out, and they have to execute it at a very, very high level. So very interesting to see what happens back there. But the Cowboys can put pressure. I don't want to make it sound like the Cowboys can only put pressure on you on the ground. That's not the case. I'm very concerned about what Jason Witten is going to do in this game. And we know if Dez Bryant does get in, he will be coming for blood because he still remembers a couple years ago the no catch that he thought was a catch, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Yeah, and I think I mentioned on offense, this is not a game we can win if we run dry on offense for 2 quarters. We have played that game all year long. We have walked that line all year long. We are going to, I do think we need to play a little bit of a clock management game, but in that being said, we have to score points as we manage the clock. We have to finish drives. The way that we finish drives in this game is going to make all the difference in the world as to whether we walk away winners or we walk away losers, and Eddie Lacy is needed. Eddie Lacy he could be the linchpin of this entire game. Who else do I expect? Who else do you expect if we took the running game off the docket right now? Who do you expect to have a big game in this game? I would love to have Jared Cook in this game because I think he could have a big game. I think that Jordy Nelson is going to have a big game because he's going to want to follow up the performance last week where he had some fantastic catches. He scored the touchdown. He got his hands on a few balls that he was ticked off. He didn't make the catches. Kyler says Cobb out of the backfield. It's in the mix. Yeah. We got Cobb. A lot of people talking Cobb. I would love to see Jared Cook back, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think he does need a game. Yeah, I do agree. Let's see. Who else is out there? I doubt Dez will play. Yeah, I doubt Dez will play as well. But again, that doesn't mean that all that says to me is watch out for Jason Witten. Him and Dak Prescott are on the same page. They are in rhythm. Wow. Frankly, they were in better rhythm than Aaron Rodgers and Jared Cook were up to this point in the season. So to be careful at this point with Beasley. Cobb's the man, I think. Richard Rodgers, 100 yards and a touchdown. Miguel with the big time bold prediction of the day. I like it. And I do think Richard Rodgers will have something to say in this game. Adams, Tom Adams. Hey, Tom, it must be just because he's your namesake. What, is he related to you or something? He's saying Adams needs to have a good game in this one too. And Adams, I think his arrow is pointing up right now. I'm a little hesitant to say it because then he'll have a crappy game, I'm afraid. But he has been playing better, guys. Another Tony saying Adams. And I do agree because what we're going to get out of the Cowboys backfield, again, if they drop 3 safeties back, you know that they are going to commit themselves. The Giants attempted to do this to stopping Jordy Nelson. And Jordy Nelson was he was this close to tearing them up as well. If he had made a few of those catches, he would have had a huge game in the game against the Giants. So not happy with my do not disturb button right now with a freaking phone call coming through that just then I had to resume the video blog and everything, so that was kind of sorry about that. Apologies, but yeah, this is going to be a big game, guys, and I am going to be thinking long and hard about my predictions. Remember, we've got a game coming out where you can win the thing right now. And one of the biggest things in that game is, of course, you're going to predict who's going to win in these games. So that will, of course, make a very big difference in terms of what kind of point totals you get as you go through lifetime achievement of points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Miguel has a bold prediction that Jeff Janis is going to score his first touchdown of the year. I would love to see that as well. It's good to see him finally getting healthy after having the club and all. Clay and Peppers sack crew, says Alex. Yeah. Should they play Aberderis? That's a good question, Sean. I know a lot of people are calling for more Aberderis. I'll tell you what, here's the reason I think Aberderis should playing time, and that would be because we have tried to force the issue. We've tried to force the speed route and just throw down the field. We brought in, we've got Janis, some speed. We've got some fast guys. But what we're going to need in this game, I think, because the Cowboys, they can keep their defensive backfield keep some guys back there and still get pressure, I think we're going to need to throw underneath and inside, and I think we're going to need to get the ball out quickly in the passing game in this game. Again, now, it'd be great if we could get Trevor Davis streaking down the sidelines, but these 7-step drops we have yet to connect. I know we had the 61-yard pass interference call. Isn't that fantastic? Great. It resulted in a touchdown, I guess, but I would like to see, if we're going to have this speed guy on the outside, he's going to need to be able to catch one of these balls at some time, and has not been able to do that. Not in the preseason, not in the regular season. So add to that the risk that you run when you run these plays, that not only can Aaron Rodgers get sacked, but he also could be injured or even dinged. Then I think Brandon is saying we need precision routes. When you talk about precision routes, what is the name that comes to mind? Jared Abbrederis. So yes, I do think he could be important in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get a single snap, just like every other game. John says he's been saying this forever. I think in this game, I think there are plenty of games out there where Trevor Davis on the outside, where we split him wide and we run him down the middle. We should have done more of that in the Giants game. We had Eli Apple, Jordy Nelson took Eli Apple. That touchdown catch that he made, not only did he stretch for that ball, but Eli had to take like 3 steps to even catch up. That was a game in which I would have had nothing against, because our offensive line was holding up the whole game. And Aaron Rodgers had 5 seconds to throw the ball the whole game. That was a game in which I had no problem running Trevor Davis down one end. Heck, put freaking Jeff Janis on the other side and let him try to catch us. Because we know Jeff Janis can catch long bombs. We've seen this before. Trevor Davis would have had a chance, depending on who he ended up against. But if you can single him up against Eli Apple, there's no way Eli Apple was going to catch up with him in that game, especially if we could do a little hurry-up offense first and tire him out a little bit. In this game, however, this is the Cowboys, not the Giants. So in this game, if I'm sitting there, I'm going, Jared Abbrederis may be the kind of guy that can have a true impact in this game. And I'm very happy to see that Davante Adams has been running better routes lately, because we're going to need him to continue to do that. And obviously, we know we've got, Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. And if Jordy Nelson, catches a few of those balls, MJ is talking about 5 wide again. We have not been a 5 wide team for many years, have we? We've been, remember it was, I think it was when Brett Favre was still playing. And we did 5 wides on like the 2-yard line against the Giants in New York, I think. You remember that? And how much heat Mike McCarthy took for going 5 wide? And then we had a really good 5 wide setup when we had Jermichael Finley. Well, without Jared Cook, I don't expect to see us go 5 wide. And we are seeing, because remember, Mike McCarthy is trying to play a more of a possession game right now. And the way Aaron Rodgers has been playing, I have nothing against that, because I think to some extent we have to play call and scheme to protect Aaron Rodgers a little bit from now is what I think we're seeing. So then now what you're looking at is, yes, you do your 3 wides, but you're going to see a lot of, 2 wide receiver sets, and you're going to see a ton of that 22 package if assuming we can get Eddie Lacy into this game and Ripkowski is still healthy from his back injury. And I just don't think we'll see 5 wides very often. But again, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do to stop that? You get Trevor Davis out on the field. You got Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. You got Davante Adams. Maybe you put in Ty Montgomery, or you put in Jeff Janis, and then you put in Trevor Davis. It's pick your poison time. All we have to do is be able to connect with the ball. So William's asking, why do we toss the ball so cussing much? Well, that's going to be important in this game, William. I think it's going to be time for us to pound the rock. This is going to be brutal football, and it's going to be a brutal football game if we go out there and we think that we're going to win it by simply throwing the ball all around all the time. The Cowboys have shown they can get pressure with 4 sacks. And we know, I would not be surprised if our sack count does not go down in this game, because when you have an offensive line like the Cowboys have, you can scheme to keep pressure off your back. Not only that, but when you can't scheme it out that way, your offensive line is fantastic. Hey, if we get 2 or 3 sacks in this game, I will be happy. Hey, if we get 4 or 5, I will be ecstatic. Don't get me wrong. And I think we can do that, especially if we put Julius Peppers on the field a little bit more. I think we need to make sure our bigger guys are in there in this game, because otherwise we're going to struggle. But agree with pounding it right up the middle. Saying the toss, like the pitch out. I don't want to see that play in this game. Not that there are times when that's the best play that you can have on, because heck, if they bring 9 in the box, then pitch out, try to beat him to the edges. If you've already set the pace, if you've already schemed it and played so that you forced it inside, then go ahead and you can start to try to work the edges. But I don't want us to work outside in. Do not be surprised if the Cowboys don't work outside in, however, because they've got a back that's better suited for it, and they've got an offensive line that's better suited for it. But no, I don't want to see us do that, and there's another reason I don't want to see us do that. As soon as you roll Eddie Lacy out and you do this pitch out thing, if he rolls out to his left, where is his plant foot going to be? His outside foot is his plant foot. His plant foot will be his left ankle, and now you've got the chance of not just having a slow cut, but re-injuring that ankle. And, William, to finish the point, I've said this since the beginning, to me there are two kinds of run. There are runs that you start east to west and you look for north to south. And a lot of times in the NFL, you have to run that way because the defensive lines are so good. You have to be more patient. We just, in the Cincinnati game, the commentator was just mentioning that. Ezekiel Elliott in college, you could just tell him what hole to hit and he could just hit it. You can't do that in the NFL. You have to be more patient. However, there are also the north to south runs where you look for the kick out block and then you hit the freaking hole, get skinny, and go. And yes, I totally agree with you. This is the game where we need to go north and south. I have never said, and I never will say, that there aren't opportunities for that east to west style of running, but I will say this. And there is a difference to me between Eddie Lacy squared up east to west and Eddie Lacy partially squared up. If Eddie Lacy at any point gets completely squared up, when his right or left shoulder are pointing at the other end zone, we lose yards on every single play, every time. Now, if Eddie Lacy even has so much of just a little bit of an angle, he has the opportunity to do some things. But again, we've got to protect the guy a little bit in this. And why not? With the way the offensive line loves blocking for Eddie Lacy, why not just sit him down and say, guys, today, Sunday, will be your day. We are calling you out. It is time. We are going to be running Eddie Lacy up the A-gaps, and we are going to do it until they stack the box. That means we cannot let them stop us without bringing extra players into the box, and that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to be able to throw the ball because it's going to be wide open. We're going to have singles on the outside, but we're going to run the ball to make that happen. And you guys up front are the ones who are going to win this game for us by plowing the way and creating those creases for Eddie Lacy to get going in this game. It's going to be extremely important starting off. Yeah. So, William, I'm totally on the same page with you in this game. There would be other games perhaps that depending on the defense that they're running, the players that they have, the personnel groupings that they like to use, the tendencies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, guys, well, I think I covered it all. I threw my paper on the floor, so I guess that means I covered what I wanted to talk about in terms of scouting report today, although I guess I didn't really give you a very reasoned sort of way. I just we talked about different things. We had some comments come in that were really fantastic. I don't like to dictate the show. I mean, from time to time, I think it's nice for you guys, for me to have an organized show, but a lot of times it's nice to just interact, and I like talking to you. Totally missed you guys yesterday. Thank you so much for your understanding. I'm just a regular guy here using the regular Wi-Fi at my regular home. Usually it's pretty stable. Today I've seen it get a little bit jerky. I've got it set the best I can, and I am going to upgrade if I can. So, all right, folks. Lamar is saying no Cobb in the backfield. I think a lot of people are in agreement with that. The only problem is we're going to continue to see Cobb in the backfield against our wishes. I think at this point, I worry about him every time he's back there, but he is fantastic. Terry, Cody, all of you guys, Yolanda, good to see you. I hope you have a great Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, folks. It's all going to be good. We got some football tonight, and then we'll be rolling into a Packer weekend, and we've got to get this win. It is going to be the marquee game, and it's going to be one that if we can win it will pay confidence dividends for this team down the road if we can win this game against the Cowboys come Sunday. So I will leave it at that. Sean Sean's making a good point. Let's see more of Ty Montgomery. I like seeing Ty Montgomery in the backfield better than Randall Cobb, not because I think they're both do a good job back there. I just like Ty Montgomery with a little bigger body, a little heavier frame, but I've got to give mad props to Randall Cobb to be that versatile. It is rare that a guy that size can actually be a weapon coming out of the backfield, and I will expect to see him in at least 2 plays back there in this game. Again, I will be biting my nails for each and every one because, no, I'd rather see him just play the slot. He does a fantastic job there as well. So, guys, I hope you have a great day. I will let you go now. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. Remember, if you haven't gotten invited to the game, it's by invite only. Just go to greenbaypackernation.com. There's a post that says, the top post says, get the app before the game, get in before the app even comes out. You just punch that button, fill it out. We got a lot more yesterday again. It is getting bigger and bigger. Our league is going to be huge. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to be able to play live with your Packers. No more having to pick players from other teams. But all you have to do is get on greenbaypackernation.com, fill out that form. It'll come to me. It'll email notify me, and I will send you from this very phone that I am doing this live feed on. You'll get from my phone to yours, or perhaps my brother's. He does some of these too. I don't want to not give credit where credit is due, but I will send you a personal invitation. Bonnie is asking, what's the idea for Cowboys score for the game? Prediction Friday is tomorrow. I will be laying out all my thoughts on that. MJ is saying precious. Guys, I will be joking, but I will be talking all year about how you're going to have to pry this from my cold, dead hands. It is heavy. It is beautiful. And I mean, you can, like, when we got it, I was like, it's not to wear. It's just something, it's going to be awesome to put on somebody's desk. This is cool to wear, guys, like way more than I thought. And I think it's partly because it's the precious and it keeps calling to me. So, yes, and Trevor is saying, I got the invite, did the instructions, and when told, I would be told when the app would be released. And that's exactly right, Trevor. So this is just like, you're going to be notified, okay? Just like anything else. So that, like I said, the game, it does not even exist, guys. You are in before it even comes out, quite literally. It's beta testing right now. We're getting more and more word, and I will fill you in on anything I find out. It's getting very close, but it has not been seen yet. You can't go to Google Play Store or the iTunes Store or whatever and find it. But you will, if you send me the invite, then when it comes out, it's going to let you know. It's going to say, hey, and we don't know the name of it yet, which is really cool, but they've said in no uncertain terms, the name is going to be awesome. I think they're actually going to be like, I'm going to probably be wearing a t-shirt with the name of the game and stuff. It's going to be a freaking blast. I can't wait. But no, it's not out yet. So yeah, you just fill out like what your favorite sports are, et cetera, create your profile, and then it's going to notify you when the game comes out, and you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to let you know when it's coming out. You'll know from me before it comes out, most likely. And then it will let you know, and you can download it, and you're already in. Plus, if you go to the website and you sign up now, you're going to get extra perks for doing so. You're going to get a early in badge that you will have right off the bat that nobody else can get after that point. You'll probably get some free tokens to play around with, and you'll probably get like I say, I think you'll get some maybe lifetime achievement of points or tokens. I'm not sure how that goes. Sean is asking about the shirts. I haven't got our new shirts in just yet, so not quite yet. But I will talk to John this week because it has been quite a while, and I will try to get those out. I need to send a run of shirts, and I haven't done that, so I hate that you guys have had to worry about that and wonder about it. It's taking us a little bit because we're basically just a small operation trying to do this, and it hasn't been efficient just yet. We'll get it till it's just right. It just isn't just right quite yet, so we'll see. But I appreciate your patience on that, Sean, and good to hear from you, buddy. All right, guys, have a great day. And Kyle is saying this is going to look good on his mantle. Again, you're going to have to pry it from my cold, dead hands. It's got a nice box. Again, this is from Thayer's Jewelry in Mauston, Wisconsin. If you guys, it's right up by Wisconsin Dells. If you're in the area, if you're in the La Crosse area, go check him out. It's my cousin Trent. He gets on here almost every day. He's very regular. He's a huge Packer fan. A wonderful family. Obviously, they're family. But they're just great people. Miss you guys to death, Trent. I'm hoping to get up there this fall. I'll be up there in December to see the Packers play the Seahawks. But all right, Miguel says he might need a shirt too. All right. Well, guys, you have a great day. I've held you up long enough. I hope you have a fantastic day. Get on the website. Get signed up if you haven't done it already. Don't wait because you have to get in now. Once the app launches, you can't get those extra. So tomorrow's Friday, folks. Have a good one. Get the ring.